Views expressed by the host on this show documented to be almost always right 99.7% of the time. It is the award-winning, thrill-packed, ever exciting, increasingly popular, never more important and relevant Rush Limbaugh program on the one and only Excellence in Broadcasting Network. And we are here from the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. No graduates, no degrees. The learning never stops. Phone number, and we will get to your calls in this hour, 800-282-2882. You know, that ABC Washington Post poll really is amazing. I just referenced it, the closing moments of the previous Hall of Fame hour. According to that poll, Obama has a disapproval-approval rating of 46-50 with women. 46 approve, 50 disapprove. That is the lowest in the ABC poll since Obama took office, and that is after all the money they spent on the war on women. All that stuff with Sandra Fluck was for nothing. All this stuff for the war on women and buying birth control pills, and now last night's first 2 hours of the convention, all abortion, all the time. The abortions just keep on coming. This clown, Touré, who is part of the ensemble cast of the 3 o'clock show on MSNBC, actually said, girls, get your abortions now before the Republicans win. Honest to God. And this guy is a star. He's a rising star in the Democrat Party and in the Democrat media. Girls, get your abortions now before the Republicans win. Ladies, do you understand? There's no president can do anything about abortion. There's no elected official that can do one thing legally to stop abortion. It's the law of the land. It's called Roe versus Wade. The only thing that can happen is the Supreme Court change, and that's not going to happen anytime soon. This is this constant ginning up of fear as though the right to an abortion is to be taken away, the most important thing the Democrats think they have. They've got such a task. They have got to go so off the wall fringe extremist left to keep their base intact. And then when the rest of the country starts watching the convention, they have to start lying through their teeth about what they believe. At the end of last night, I wouldn't be surprised if these people had no idea who they are. I couldn't live the way they have to live. First 2 hours of that convention, say whatever. Abortion all the time, anywhere, anytime. Girls, get them now before the Republicans win. They start comparing the Republicans to Nazis. You just have to say all that cockeyed stuff to keep your base intact. Then when 9 o'clock rolls around, you have to start lying about what you really believe so the rest of the country doesn't reject you. And meanwhile, or all the while, the country is rejecting you. And that's what the latest polling data proves. It's what the latest polling data indicates. It's amazing. And the highest, let's put it this way, the lowest approval rating with women in the ABC poll, and that's Washington Post too, since Obama took office after all that money spent on the war on women. Now, my cochlear implant just fell off of my head. It's on the floor. And I've got a challenge here. I need to put it back on. But, well, let me turn the camera off. This thing, pick it up off the floor. I'm standing up so I can still talk to you. I'm now putting this thing back in the little pouch on my belt. In there. Brian is now here and is reconnecting it to my collar via alligator clip so that it won't fall off my head, which it just did. Now I'm back. sitting back down, lowering the microphone, and turning the camera back on. There we are. Now, I don't know why it fell off. Now, I was going to add I have 3 sound bites here that I want to share with as an illustration of, well, one's funny, but just illustration of the examples that I'm giving here of how off the wall these people are. First, here's Rahm Emanuel. This is the funny thing. This is June 1st this year in Chicago. It's at a campaign fundraiser for President Obama, and Rahm Emanuel, the ballerina, the godfather, is introducing Obama.
The president arrives. The rain stops. The sun comes out. Coincidence? I think not. He arrives, the sun is out, and things are moving again.
Just 2 months ago, Obama shows up in Chicago. It's raining, but he shows up, it stops raining. Rahm Emanuel says, coincidence? I think not. He arrives, sun's out. Well, why wouldn't it work tomorrow night then? I mean, if Obama could bring the sun out in Chicago in June, why can't he do the same thing in Charlotte in September? Now, here's Julian Castro. I made reference to this in the previous hour. This does not sound like a Democrat. Democrats normally sit there and encourage you to sit on your ass and collect their unemployment checks. And Pelosi loves to tell you that your unemployment check is actually creating economic growth. What's her ratio? Every dollar of unemployment benefits equals $1.73 in economic growth. For these 4 years, they have extolled the virtues of unemployment. They've promised you as much as you need, 99 weeks, and they blamed it all on Bush. And they've talked about how caring it is and how wonderful it is. And they have told you that if you need more, it'll be forthcoming because Barack cares. Well, where was that last night? Where was all the adulation for the things they love? Where was all the attempt to take credit for the great things they think they've done? No, we didn't get that. As an example of what we got, here is Julian Castro, who, by the way, I'm told doesn't even speak Spanish. I mean, not that it matters, but this is the guy, Julian Castro. You know, I don't know if I should say this or not. So Democrats are allowed to make comments based on the way people look. The Democrats, in fact, live off of what your appearance is, your race, your religion, your sexual orientation. That's how they identify you. That's how they categorize you. Oh, I don't know. Okay, all right. Anyway, here is Julian Castro. He is the Barack Obama of 2004. This is the guy they've got high hopes going to be the next Obama. He was last night's keynote speaker. Mayor San Antonio. This is the guy. He's the future of the party. That's just who he is. And he didn't talk about 99 weeks unemployment, how great it is, and all these other government-provided benefits. No.
Now, in Texas, we believe in the rugged individual.
Stop the tape.
Texas.
Yep, they do. But the Democrats don't. Texas is not a Democrat state. San Antonio may be a Democrat town. Cue that back to the top, Mr. Broadcast Engineer Substitute. We believe in rugged individuals. No, you don't believe in rugged individuals. The party does not. Okay, here it is again. I'll try to let the whole thing go.
This may be the one place where people actually still have bootstraps. And we expect folks to pull themselves up by him. But we also recognize that there are some things we can't do alone.
Oh.
We have to come together and invest in opportunity today for prosperity tomorrow.
Your prosperity is, nothing to do with you. You only going to have prosperity if everybody comes together and invests. as in pays higher taxes. But what is this? We believe in the rugged individual? We expect folks to pull themselves up by their bootstraps? The hell you say? When did that happen? Who knew this? They don't believe that. You know, people ask me in the email, I checked it during the top of the hour, why did you talk about Michelle's speech? Folks, I'll be glad to talk about it. I just don't think she believed a word of it. Masterfully given speech. Look, as a performer and judging it as a performance, it was exceptional. It was, as a performance, Michelle Obama's speech was perfection. Looked at through the prism of what she intended it to accomplish. It was flawlessly executed. It could not have been better in terms of performance, but it was all lies. She didn't believe any of it. She didn't believe anything she said in that speech. That's it left me cold. It was a real contradiction. As I'm watching it, I'm listening to it, I'm marveling at her performance, but I knew she didn't mean it. And by that I mean if they had said, Michelle, go say what you really want to say. If they weren't in trouble, if they weren't down in the polls, if they weren't lagging in fundraising, you'd have heard nothing. You'd have heard all about, eating right, impacting the grocery store. You would have heard what she says every day of the week except last night. We would hear her talk this way. And, the sob stories, what do you mean, was she lying about? Well, I don't know how to tell you this. This is sort of a no-win position, but she and Barack did not come from poverty, folks. They didn't face deep struggles. Michelle's dad in the 70s, his name was Fraser Robinson, and he was a pump operator at the Chicago City water plant. And it's been said that he earned $55,000 back in the 70s. I went to the inflation calculator. You know what $50,000 in the 1970s is equivalent to today? $282,000. I was making when I left home at age 20, and I was making $12,000, $13,000 a year. I also made that in 1980. Regardless, it's the equivalent of $282,000 a year. Her dad was a Democrat precinct captain in the Daily Machine. He was politically, he was a ward healer. And his her mother, Marion Robinson, was a longtime secretary at Spiegel's, the catalog store. This why I get so frankly worn out with this incessant need to try to convince people you came from nothing. Because the problem with it is we want to attach virtue to that, which of course it deserves, but there's a problem, and that is that somehow now, if you're not born to the struggle, then whatever you have is illegitimate. If you're born upper middle class, if you happen to be born in an upper income level, somehow your accomplishments and your achievements, they just aren't the same as somebody. And it's all part of this class warfare stuff that tears this country apart. So this incessant need to fabricate the struggles and the hardship that you come from. Hers wasn't that tough, and neither was Barack's. And if you want more details, I'll be happy to provide them. But I was left cold by it because none of it was true. This is not the kind of stuff she really believes. But it made me smile in a sense because it told me, it reaffirmed for me the trouble these people are in, and they know it. That convention last night, I'm just going to tell you again, that convention demonstrated better than anything that's happened yet that they know they are governing against the will of the people. They know that who they really are is out of step with the mainstream of this country. They know it. The primetime parts of that convention last night had to be structured on falsehood after falsehood after falsehood if they were to even have a prayer of garnering support from undecided independents, whoever. I mean, even the fact that Julian Castro goes out there and even mentions this bootstrap business and pulling yourself up in self-reliance, that means that they know this country still believes in that. This country still believes in rugged individualism. This country still believes in all the things that 364 days of the year they speak out against. They know it. I'm telling you, I think these people are having an identity crisis today. The media is trying to portray this last night's this gigantic home run because of Michelle's speech. But I'm telling folks, when you live falsehoods and live lies, they catch up with you eventually. And if you have even a tiny bit of conscience, then you have a little guilt. And I'm telling you, all is not unified and happy on the leftist front. Here's Michelle Obama, a little excerpt. These are things that I did not know. And here's another thing about that speech hers last night. Well, look at that. I got to take a break. Folks, I'm sorry, but I have to. The problem is when I say it, there's nothing left to say. And I know that's why you can't wait for me to say it. But I got to take a break. Otherwise, I'm in deep doo-doo.